Cat. Poor Teddy. The statue is precious. You should keep it forever. See you next time, Merry Maids.
Are you caught in a conflict with a family member, in the workplace, or with a neighbor or business? Wenatchee Valley Dispute Resolution Center provides mediation services, a cost-effective and efficient way to provide a written resolution to disputes and issues. Plus, we offer mediation training and community education on topics like conflict resolution and communication skills. Contact us at 509-888-0957 or www.wvdrc.org to learn more.
Pitch to the plate on an 0-2.
Wenatchee Apple Sox baseball is back on the NCW Live channel. Join us Tuesday, June 27th as the Apple Sox host the Port Angeles Lefties. Coverage is brought to you by Apple Valley Honda, Confluence Health, JDSA Law, Merry Maids, Mini Blinds and more, Prestige Senior Living at Colonial Vista, Together for Youth, Wenatchee Valley Dispute Resolution Center, and Walkabout Grill. Your television home for Apple Sox baseball.
It is Friday, television family. This is Wake Up Wenatchee Valley may cause drowsiness on this Friday, the 23rd day of June, 2023. I am Dan Kuntz. Gobs of sunshine, 55 degrees, one little weak low-pressure trough. Gonna come, gonna go over the next day and a half anyways. A little unsettled today, but then a beautiful stretch of weather, warm temperatures. If anything, the weather is going to get boring, and I'm all for that. But a very good-looking forecast for the first weekend of summer is coming up. Can't wait to give that to you and the news. We have that as well. Apple Sox, wow. Swept them up there in Kamloops. They had two 7-inning games yesterday, doubleheader. Of course, they were rained out on Tuesday. They had a single game Wednesday, doubleheader yesterday. They won them all. They're smoking hot. They're back in town, by the way, this weekend. Non-league game against the Northwest Star Academy, but Apple Sox are playing as good as they've played in quite some time. Coach Mitch Darlington has these guys playing some good baseball. We'll talk about the Apple Sox as well, and the Mariners beat the Yankees. These things happen. Swamped them, as a matter of fact. Highlights of the big victory for the Mariners and the Bronx yesterday. And earlier in the week, we mentioned this before, the Commissioner of Public Lands, Hillary Franz, who is also a gubernatorial candidate, can't forget about that, paid us a visit here in our studios. Our news director, Jefferson Robbins, had a chance to sit down with Commissioner Franz to talk about wildfires. That's her responsibility as we start getting into the wildfire season, and we'll have that conversation with Jefferson and Commissioner Franz in the back half of the program. And at 2 minutes after the hour, we have a lot to get to. Let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it. To our cameras around the valley we go. Sunrise this morning, 5:04. Sunset tonight, 9:02. 15 hours and 58 minutes of daylight. Tomorrow, sunset will be at 9:02, just like today. Sunrise, 5:05, 1 minute later. So summer is starting to slip away from us. Good morning to East Wenatchee from our Wenatchee Heights camera with a little sliver of Wenatchee just to even things out. Omi Garden camera probably looks spectacular, and it does. That is zoomed about as far back as it can go. It'll be a beautiful weekend to go up and see our friends at Omi Gardens. Beautiful there. They got a big concert, by the way, coming up on July 9th, I believe. The Glad Song Community Choir is going to do a concert up there to benefit our friends at Omi Gardens so they can keep that place looking as pristine as possible. Good morning to the Baker Flats Industrial Area and Rocky Reach Dam. Let's check in with Cashmere. High atop the hill that overlooks the Apple Annie's Antique Mall. That's the shadow that you see. That's the hillside. Hello, Cashmere. A pleasure to see you. We have an update, by the way, on the paving project they're doing in Cashmere when we get to the news. That's coming up. You can see Stein Hill way off to the right. And we say hello to Cashmere. And let's say hello to our friends up in Okanogan County. From our Billy Goat camera, a spectacular view there. The Methow River continues to flow into the Columbia. If it failed to do that, I would get real worried. Good morning to our friends in Pateros, Brewster, Bridgeport, Omak, Okanogan, Riverside, and of course, Tunk Mountain. All right, let's get to it because I think you're going to like this. Now today, again, is going to be a little unsettled. It'll be fairly sunny, but there's still that low pressure trough with a couple of weak disturbances will pop in and out today. It's also going to be a little windy today at times. It'll be picking up in intensity. It'll be a west wind about 13 to 18 miles an hour this afternoon. But a high today of 84, and we hit 78 yesterday. So we're going to start warming up a little bit. Little residual wind tonight, nothing we can't handle, about 59 or 60 for the overnight low. Going to do 84 again on Saturday. Not as windy tomorrow as it will be today. Sunday, we get up to about 85, into the lower 90s by Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. That's a forecast I like. I hope you do too. And the news, whether you like it or not, is 2 minutes away. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
I had a seizure in the middle of the night, and they rushed me to the hospital and decided to induce labor to try to get the baby out. The outpouring of love and support I got from Confluence Health. My coworkers coming to the ICU to be with me. For me, it's the work family. It's just incredible to have support no matter what I'm going through in my personal life, my own health.
This is it. The RV sales event of the year is happening now at the Town Toyota Center during the Summer Getaway Sales Event. Choose from the best brands, Grand Design, Flagstaff, Thor, SMC trailers, and more. Over 600 RVs to choose from. Payments just $239 per month. And $2,000 over JD Power for your trade-in. Plus, get a Yeti cooler and Traeger grill with your purchase. Don't let these summer deals get away. Sale extended. 5 more days, ends June 25th. The hottest deals at the Summer Getaway Event. Now at the Town Toyota Center, just off Walla Walla Avenue. Hurry in today.
Founders Day fun is wrapped up in one big day, Saturday, June 24th. Bring the family to Cashmere and enjoy all that Founders Day has to offer. Your favorites will be happening, like the ping pong ball drop, the car show, and the grand parade at 5 p.m. Soak up the music, food, and all the fun happening in Cashmere. Please support our businesses during Founders Day. Gatons, Green, and Weidenbach. We add value to our clients' projects and contribute to our clients' success.
.5 degrees. I don't see a cloud in the sky. We'll see a few passing clouds. A little windy today, a couple of degrees warmer. Then on Thursday, mid-80s, lots of sunshine. Saturday and Sunday into the 90s. By the early part of next week, it is summertime. And it's also 7 minutes after the hour. The nation of India will drop its 20% tariff. It's placed on apple shipments out of this country since 2018. This is big. The announcement coming yesterday from the Office of the Trade Representative. India's Prime Minister, as you probably know by now, is visiting the White House this week. It's a major breakthrough for Washington apple exports, which have plummeted since the tariffs were put in place. The state sent about $120 million worth of apples to India in 2018. Last year, the export value, just $3 million. Washington's entire congressional delegation has been campaigning for an end to India's tax on apples since it was put in place. Senator Maria Cantwell, who recently held a roundtable with orchardists right here in Wenatchee, had this to say on the Senate floor.
So today our growers know that they can go back to marketing a great worldwide product, our Washington apples, that had access to what at one point was a $120 million market. This retaliatory tariff being removed will help boost sales to India. It will help the bottom line of farmers in Washington state, and it will be essential for the 1,400 growers that I have just recently visited along with my colleague Senator Stabenow in discussion of this year's Farm Bill to say these are important markets for Washington products. We heard from people like George Sanchez from Northern Fruit in East Wenatchee that, quote, India was a critical market for Washington apples and the tariffs had hit producers of Red Delicious especially hard. These growers are looking forward to an opportunity to rebuild this market access. This deal also includes removing some of the tariffs on chickpeas and lentils, also a great Washington product that suffered under these retaliatory tariffs.
The man accused of murdering 2 people and shooting 3 others at the campground adjacent to the Gorge Amphitheater last weekend told police he was hallucinating from psilocybin mushrooms. 26-year-old James M. Kelly is charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder and 3 counts of assault in the Saturday shooting. The registered nurses that were killed, as you see there, Brandy Escamilla and Jocelyn Ruiz. Now, investigators say Kelly, who was an Army Ranger stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord, feared the world was ending and opened fire with a handgun he retrieved from his truck. One of the 3 people wounded was Kelly's girlfriend, who he allegedly shot in the leg and the foot after she tried to leave. Kelly was captured after being shot by a responding Moses Lake police officer. He's due to be arraigned in Grant County Court on July 5th. A man who pled guilty last year to his part in a gang-related shooting may be in trouble again for allegedly possessing a firearm in his home. 37-year-old Armando Valdez Godina was sentenced to 22 months for gang intimidation and conspiracy to commit third-degree assault in the 2021 shooting near East Wenatchee City Hall that left 1 man wounded. Well, the State Department of Corrections and the Columbia River Drug Task Force arrested Godina again on June 9th for allegedly possessing a firearm that's in violation of his release conditions. Police say they found a .22 caliber rifle after searching Godina's trailer in Malaga. This week, a judge ordered him held on $150,000 bond. Prosecutors have until close of business today to file formal charges. Chelan County road crews will be chip sealing in the Lower Monitor and Sunny Slope areas for the next couple of weeks. The work begins on Monday. They're going to start in the Lower Monitor area. There'll be a chip sealing Lower Monitor Road, Brittany Drive, Tybo Road, Shelby Court, Downs Road, and Cassandra Drive, and then they'll move into the Sunny Slope area after that. The county reminding property owners to remove all vehicles, RVs, trailers, and boats from the roadways before 5 a.m. on Monday morning. In neighborhoods, you'll see 1-lane flagger control traffic, and crews will be out as early as 6 a.m. If it's going to be a hot day, they're going to start earlier than that. Loose gravel remains on the surface for a few days after the chip sealing, and then a couple of weeks later, the crews come back and they broom off the excessive gravel. So there you go. It's that time of the year again. Speaking of road work, Sunset Highway west of Cashmere is still closed, but crews with Chelan County are making progress on a major facelift for the Sunset and Goodwin Road intersection. And then next week, the contractor KRCI of East Wenatchee plans to begin working on the Goodwin Road portion of that project. So 1-lane flagger control traffic will be the norm when that section of work begins. The overall $2.8 million project involves widening the roads, adding sidewalks, illumination and landscaping, and creating a uniform corridor at the intersection of Sunset and Goodwin to the Hay Canyon roundabout on the north side of Highway 2. The roadways are expected to fully reopen after the Independence Day holiday. You got a brief look at the signage that they're putting up along the Wenatchee River below Leavenworth. Every year we hear about this. Recreationists in inner tubes or rafts miss that point where you need to get out of the water. That's near Blackbird Island, and they end up floating past Blackbird Island into Rough Rapids. Well, rescuers with Chelan County Sheriff's Swiftwater Rescue Team have been spending time this week placing temporary signs that point river users to that takeout area. The signs are then taken down at the end of the tubing season. The hope is that the posted warnings will divert river users to safe places to get out of the river before they get in trouble by going farther down and into the stronger, faster currents. And that is the news. At 13 minutes after the hour, we will have the newscast for you tonight at 5, 6, and 10 with Grant with the news, and I'll be handling sports. If you want to see a train wreck, definitely tune into the news tonight at 5, 6, and 10 with me doing sports. It's also up and running on our YouTube page, our Facebook page, and our homepage right around 5 o'clock. And if there's something out there that you think demands our attention, let us know about it so we know about it. Email us, call us, go to our Facebook page, or go to our homepage. There's any number of ways for you to get a hold of us. When we come back, the Mariners finally beat the Yankees. The Apple Sox are smoking hot. And pretty good news for you fans of the Wenatchee Wild. A lot of the folks are going to be staying with the franchise as they move from the BCHL to the WHL. Sports in 2 minutes. You're watching Wake Up Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Experience memories that will last forever on a Sun Chaser pontoon boat from Bob File Boats and Motors. If you're looking to get out fishing with your buddies or just enjoying time on the water with friends, a Sun Chaser pontoon boat is a great choice. Owning a Sun Chaser is more than just an incredible feeling of freedom and exhilaration. It's about taking that indulgence to the next level. See the full line of Sun Chaser pontoon boats at Bob File Boats and Motors on Sunset Highway in East Wenatchee or online at bobfile.com.
The Clearwater Saloon and Casino has the best Vegas-style games in East Wenatchee. Come enjoy yourself and discover the nightly action. Win big and meet new friends at the Clearwater Saloon and Casino.
Motion e-bikes is rolling out its new line of Avented e-bikes. Come in today and save $300 on the top-selling Avented Adventure. Motion is Central Washington's home for affordable e-bikes, located in the Mills Brothers building in downtown Wenatchee.
It has really been a great partnership between Succession and NCW Life. It's not always easy to sit in front of a camera or a microphone, but you guys have made it a really nice process.
You are ready to earn your BSN degree, and we know you need a special place to take the next step in your career. You are an engaged learner who needs modern labs and equipment, hands-on support, and small class sizes. You're a busy adventurer who needs trees, mountains, rivers, and trails. As a learner, as a future RN, as an adventurer, find it in the BSN program at Wenatchee Valley College.
"16 minutes after the hour, the Mariners salvaged the last game of their three-game set in the Bronx. They beat the Yankees 10-2. For the first time in the series, the Mariners put up crooked numbers. In the first 4 innings, they scored 4 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the third, 2 in the fourth. Brian Wu gets his first major league victory.
Just underway. Julio breaks for third. Line drive into the gap. Bader will not get it. Julio will walk home. France will hold it second. Teoscar Hernandez, an RBI single. Mariners score first. It's 1-0 Seattle. There you go down the line. Foul ball. Scoring is Ty France. Teoscar Hernandez right behind him. 2-run double for Eugenio Suarez and the Mariners, an early 3-0 lead here at Yankee Stadium. Hey now. Cal at third, Gino at second. Line drive, right field, Mike Stanton. And Carlos Stanton, beg your pardon, and scoring on the play. Cal Raleigh, Mike Ford gets the job done. 4-0 Mariners. Here's Colton Wong. Colton Wong rides one high, deep, far right field. Bye-bye! Colton Wong makes it a 5-0 lead for the Mariners here in the second inning. It's his first home run as a Mariner, and they are not happy here in the Bronx. Colton Wong, big-time fly ball.
Now you want to talk about a monkey off the bat right now for Colton Wong.
Boy, he got that up in his eyes and turned on it. See you later. Here's Ty France, hit by a pitch. Here's a high drive, deep left center field. That ball's carrying out of here. It's 6-0 Seattle here in the second inning. Ty France with home run number 7 in the Bluebirds at full volume here at Yankee Stadium. The Mariners offense has erupted. RBI number 33. Man, did he get all of that, baby.
The Mariners have another base runner, and that brings up Mike Ford.
This is off the very end of the bat and bobbled over there at third base by Donaldson. Suarez running to a vacated third. It's off of Herman's glove, and Gino's coming all the way around to score. It is the Mariners' night. 7-0 in the third inning.
That was remarkable.
I mean, you got a chaos ball smile out of Scott right there as Gino made his way down the steps. Throws it behind Herman, and
Gino never had to break stride.
Sure. Caballero, fly ball out to Bader in center field. Ford is at third. He tags and makes his way home. Second sacrifice fly tonight by the Mariners. They add on another run. It's 8-0 with 2 outs in the third inning. Teoscar drove in the first run of the ball game tonight for the Mariners. An RBI single back in the first inning. Teoscar, a bolt out to center to the monuments, and it's gone. Teoscar Hernandez
salute to Maniaca. That ball got crushed. Scott Service's words before the game, got to be ready to compete in the first inning. Man, has that been borne out here.
Cal laces this out to right field, and this ball is just over the wall for a home run. Teoscar and Cal Raleigh go back-to-back in the fourth inning. It's the fourth home run for the Mariners tonight, and they have just poured it on the Yankees here in the Bronx.
Lexington trying to put it into it here. The 2-2 pitch. He got him. A resounding and necessary and gratifying win.
Manager Scott Service said it was nice that the Mariners got going offensively early instead of waiting until later on in the ballgame.
You know, we did not wait to get into the game. We got on the attack mode early on and certainly paid off. And it's nice to give Brian Wu a little working room out there. You know, first time obviously pitching in this stadium, fourth career start, threw the ball really well. They took a lot of pitches. They made them work, as I figured they would. But excellent outing by him. Obviously didn't give up a hit there till the sixth. Just a nice win. We needed it. We hadn't done anything here offensively for a few days. So nice to get a lot of guys chipping in, contributing. Nice win, nice bounce back after a rough night last night. Good for Colton Wong. It has been a rough couple months, and nobody happier than me to see him, you know, get the first homer. You know, I think it was a really tough start to his time here in Seattle, losing a starting job. Colton Wong's a good player, and he still has plenty left in the tank. Hopefully we start to see the start of something big coming forward with him. He'll continue to get opportunities. He's still got a lot to offer this club, but he's got to get it going, and a big night for him tonight.
Teoscar Hernandez, 3 for 4, a couple of runs, a home run. Eugenio Suarez, he had a couple of hits and a couple of RBIs. Seattle moves on to Baltimore today for the first of 3 games against the Orioles. First pitch 4:05 on Root Sports Northwest. Just one other game involving an American League West team on Thursday. Oakland losing to the Guardians 6-1. Cleveland sweeps the Athletics. There are your standings. Of course, Texas, Houston, and LA didn't play, so the Mariners win. It helps them gain a half game on the top 3 in the division. The Wenatchee Apple Sox swept 2 7-inning games in Kamloops Thursday to complete the 3-game sweep of the North Paws. In the opener, Wenatchee brought 8 men to the plate, scored 4 runs in the first inning, went on for the 9-6 victory. Central Arizona's Marcus Harrison was 3 for 4 with a run and a couple of RBIs. UC Santa Barbara's Josh Williams, 2 for 2 in the leadoff spot. He scored 3 runs. Bryce Johnson worked 4 innings of 3-run, 3-hit ball for his first win as an Apple Sox. And then the second game, Wenatchee banged out 4 doubles in the nightcap, completing the sweep with a 9-5 victory. Toby Harrer earned his second win on the mound with the Apple Sox. He tossed 4 innings of 2-run ball with 5 strikeouts. Frankie Carney, he goes to UC Irvine. He was 2 for 5 with a couple of runs. And Sebastian Davis out of Stanford went 3 for 4 with a run. Wenatchee returns home tonight. They host the Northwest Star Academy, the first of 2 non-league games at Paul Thomas Senior Stadium. By the way, you can bring your pooches to the game tonight. It's Bark at the Park night. Tonight, don't forget they got to stay on leashes, kind of like me. The game gets underway at 6:35 both tonight and tomorrow night. To the scoreboard in the West Coast League, Victoria scoring 3 runs on wild pitches in a 5-run 6th inning, held on to beat Edmonton 9-7. Will Armbruster and 3 relievers combined to allow 1 run on 3 hits in Bellingham's 4-1 win over Kelowna. Owen Alsop and Camden Coaster each had 2-run base hits in a 4-run 7th for Port Angeles. The lefties beating Nanaimo 10-3. Jackson Nicholas, 2 for 4 with a run and an RBI. Ridgefield beats the Yakima Valley 4-1. Portland's Murray Geiger threw 4 1/3 innings of scoreless 1-hit relief to help Portland shut out Cowlitz 7-0. Charles Updegrave was 2 for 3 with 2 runs and a solo home run to lead Springfield in a come-from-behind 6-5 win over Bend. And in non-league play, Caleb Gray 3 for 4 with a run and an RBI. Walla Walla beats the Northwest Star Academy 6-0. Corvallis had 7 extra base hits, and they beat the Girding Builders Marketmen. That was obviously a non-league game. The standings look something like that. Bellingham and Victoria continue to lead the North Division by a game over the Apple Sox. Kelowna drops to 4.5 back as time winds down for the first half of the West Coast League season. But man, the Sox are playing good. Wenatchee Wild announcing that several familiar faces aren't going anywhere. As they move to the Western Hockey League, Chris Clark will remain. He'll be the team's associate head coach and assistant general manager. Lee Mendelson will continue his role as the team's director of scouting. Jared Bowman and Pepe Sandoval is going to continue with their roles with the team as well. Question, of course, remains who the head coach is going to be. Now, the White's purchase of the Winnipeg Ice includes the 50-man roster. What it doesn't include is the current head coach of Winnipeg. That's James Patrick. He's 59 years old. He just finished his 6th season coaching the Ice. He led them to the WHL finals this year. In fact, he was a coach of the year last year. His prior coaching experience came on the bench, assisting with the Buffalo Sabres and the Dallas Stars of the NHL. And finally, the Big Rigs return to the Wenatchee Valley Super Oval this weekend. It's been since before COVID that the folks from Canada have been able to cross the border, and they're going to be welcome back at the WVSO tomorrow night. Yeah, the Big Rigs on a quarter-mile track. That'll be interesting to say the least. Gates open at 4:30. Racing starts at 6. Those are just some of the games that people were playing at 25 minutes after the hour. Since we're now into summer, we're going to talk about, for the obscure holiday, National Hydration Day. I think we all know how important it is to be hydrated when you're out and about, when the heat, because you can lose a lot of fluids in the heat by sweating and the other thing that one does to remove excessive fluids from one body. The human body is about 60% water, but the human brain is about 95% water, which is why you get that problem with your head if you don't have enough water and it's really hot out. And bones are only 22% water. It's important to stay hydrated. One of the myths is you need to drink 8 glasses of water a day. That's a myth. It depends entirely on the climate, your overall metabolism, that kind of stuff. So you don't necessarily have to drink 8 ounces of water, 8 glasses of water a day. In fact, you can actually overhydrate yourself. It's rare. About 80% of the water that you need on a daily basis comes from beverages, and the other 20% comes from the food you eat. Stay hydrated when it gets hot. Common sense there. 26 minutes after the hour, today in history, we're going back 412 years. November of the previous year, Henry Hudson on board the Discovery in Hudson Bay. The ship became trapped in the ice in the James Bay up there north, and so they just got off the ship and they camped on the shore for the winter. And then it was time to get back at it again, and so here we are. It's summertime. The nights are long, and Henry Hudson said, here we go. Let's go ahead and launch the Discovery and go look around some more. And the crew of the Discovery said, nerds to you, Henry, we want to go home. We're tired of this crap. And so they mutinied. And they put Henry Hudson, his son, and 7 loyal crew members on board an open boat in Hudson Bay. They turned around and headed back to England. And by the way, Henry Hudson, his son, and the 7 crew members were never heard from again. Should have listened to the crew. Yeah, maybe we should go home. They didn't. He died. That was 412 years ago today. And if you remember back on April 19th when we talked about this amazing game between Pawtucket and Rochester, the longest game in the history of baseball came to an end when Dave Koza drives in Marty Barrett with a bases loaded base hit in the bottom of the 33rd inning. Pawtucket defeats Rochester. The final was 3-2, longest game in history. They started it on April 19th. They played 32 innings over 8 hours and 7 minutes before they finally stopped at 4 in the morning. Then they picked the game up on this date in 1981, and it took 18 minutes, and it was all over. Everybody was there. All the major networks showed up. There were all the newspapers. There were like 70 reporters who were credentialed for this game. The numbers are amazing. 14 pitchers went through 160 baseballs, 882 pitches thrown, 195 putouts, 219 at-bats, 33 innings, 283 total chances. The game took 8 hours and 25 minutes to play. There is no clock in baseball, and you have to let the other team hit. One of the great things about our national pastime. Even I don't think I could sit through a 33-inning baseball game. 28 minutes after the hour, birthdays. They're both posthumous birthdays. They were both born on the exact same day, June 23rd, 1940. The legendary Wilma Rudolph, who was the 20th of 22 children. Her father was married twice. His first wife died. He got married again. 20th of 22 children. She barely survived childhood. She had scarlet fever. She had pneumonia. She had polio. And she would become one of the greatest runners in this nation's history. She won 3 gold medals at the 1960 Rome Summer Olympics. The great Wilma Rudolph, who died at the age of 54 in 1994. and the bassist in the Beatles before Paul. Stu Sutcliffe, a very good friend at art school of John Lennon, wanted to enhance his bohemian image, so he joined the rock and roll band that John had going on, called the Quarrymen. He couldn't play an instrument, but he was a very talented artist. Stu Sutcliffe sold a painting for a lot of money, and John took him to the local music store in Liverpool and said, buy a bass guitar. You can join the band. We'll teach you how to play. And that's what he did. He was the bassist for the Beatles from May of 1960 until July of 1961. He stayed in Hamburg, Germany with his girlfriend and would die of a brain hemorrhage shortly thereafter. Stu Sutcliffe, born on this date 83 years ago today. Mike Mignotti's got an opinion, and then we have Jefferson Robbins and his conversation with the Commissioner of the Department of Natural Resources, Hillary Franz. It's coming up. You're watching Wake Up in Wenatchee Valley on the NCW Live channel.
Hey, welcome back to Save Mart. What can we help you find today?
We're looking for a mattress.
Oh, right this way. We got a large selection. We have this pillow top here.
Oh, comfortable.
We have more to choose from down here.
Oh.
I think I have the perfect one over here for you.
I guess we'll take this one.
You'll find it at Save Mart. Full service at a low, low price.
Hey, this is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and everybody's entitled to my opinion. Now, one of my biggest regrets in life is this. I was at a baseball game once at the Kiwanis Oval in Caldwell, New Jersey, and the opposing team's first baseman was giving the first base umpire really a hard time. He's making fun of him, ridiculing his calls, etc., and I don't know why this ump didn't toss the guy out of the game. He should have, but there were 2 outs, and there was a hit to the shortstop who threw the ball to this jerk of a first baseman, and though the throw beat the runner, the first baseman jerk's heel came off the bag before he caught the ball. Now, I was right at the first base line, and I saw this. Now, the umpire called the runner safe, which he was, but the first baseman said something like, forget that, something like that, and he and his team ran off the field as they thought there were 3 outs. Now, the umpire didn't say anything, and my regret is neither did I. Now, I was just a kid, but come on. There's just some regrets you never forget. This is Mike Mad Dog Magnotti, and that's my opinion.
It's barbecue chicken pizza season. That means break out the patio furniture, dust off those jorts, pick up an Abby's Pizza, and head to your favorite outdoor spot. I mean, hey, the great outdoors isn't going to enjoy itself, right? Blue skies and pizza go together like, well, barbecue chicken and pizza. That's why it's time to enjoy an Abby's original barbecue chicken pizza at a very special price. Abby's, a legendary pizza tradition.
What's the best way to attract a wide variety of beautiful birds to your backyard? By offering the birds the right foods in expertly designed bird feeders from Wild Birds Unlimited. Whether you've been feeding the birds for a while or are just getting started, let our backyard bird feeding specialists show you how to add a little joy to your life and make nature a part of every day. Shop now for exclusive bird foods, feeders, hardware, and more. Wild Birds Unlimited. Products designed by experts. Trusted local advice.
So, how's Evan?
Well, he's all grown up now, but I worry about him. So many dangers in the world. COVID, the environment, the opioid epidemic.
Yeah, I hear opioid misuse is on the rise.
I don't even know how to start a conversation with him.
This might help. GetTheFactsRx.com. There's a whole section on how to talk about opioids with your family.
Offer support, not judgment. Cool.
Talk to your family about the dangers of opioids. Visit GetTheFactsRx.com.
The newest generation of GMC Sierra pickups offer the most advanced technology, the strongest selection of powertrain, and everything else you need to work hard, play hard, and explore the boundaries of the Wenatchee Valley and beyond. Take a look at the latest, most luxurious and durable trucks on the market.
You will see why GMC is not your grandfather's pickup.
You want to bet, kid?
"35 minutes after the hour, Department of Natural Resources Commissioner Hillary Franz was here in Wenatchee on Monday. She addressed the annual convention of the Washington State Council of Firefighters, and during her visit, she had a chance to drop by our studios here for an in-depth interview with our own Jefferson Robbins. Among the topics of conversation, DNR's air attack strategy when a wildfire breaks out.
Well, DNR's air fleet response has been pretty quick. From our point of view, we've seen the planes flying when there's been a fire incident in the area. And I know that was one of your key projects within the last 5 to 7 years. You said our air fleet is old, we run risks of losing some air capability. We want to bring that up. How's progress? Are you pleased with that fleet? Is it where you want it to be?
Yeah, so let me just say there's a number of things we did. First, we did, when I came in this role in 2017 after the horrific fires of 2014 through 2016, we had a very aged fleet of 8 Vietnam War helicopters. And it was clear that we weren't going to get any new resources until we really leveraged the ones we had. And so we leveraged those quickly on initial attack. The moment there's smoke in the air, instead of wasting time sending a fire engine out to respond, right? We sent our aircraft immediately, get on those fires quickly, contain them, put them out. Yet 8 isn't going to go very far, right? And so we have been pushing to increase the number of air resources we have and also get more modernized fleet in, not just those Vietnam War helicopters. So specifically, and I think this is actually really telling. So in 2021, we were coming off the Labor Day firestorms of 2020. We all remember that, where we had 56 fires in 24 hours. We had, in 72 hours, we had 600,000 acres burned because we had hot, dry landscape. We had hurricane force winds, and we had a lot of people out there, enjoying nature and unfortunately, sometimes starting fires. We were putting all hands on deck trying to get every air resource we could at the federal level. Unfortunately, California and Oregon were also on fire at the same time. And so as we made those calls to get more aircraft, we weren't able to because they were already being utilized in much more high population centers. 2021, as Washington State was going through its worst drought and Western United States was all in drought, I changed the way we secured our aircraft. Instead of going to sort of having our own fleet and then doing call when needed with private companies, we went to exclusive use. So instead of me hoping that those resources would be available in our time of need, I made sure we had them under our control at all times. And that's when we moved in 2021 to 37 aircraft, where we have them predisposed, in areas that we know are likely to have fires so that we can get on those fires quickly, contain them, and move on to the next one. We will have 37. We already have 37 that are going to be distributed throughout the state in those high-risk areas, literally covering the entire state of Washington. What that's enabled us to do, as you said, more and more resources. We'll have a significant fire, and you might have 8, 10, 12, 15 on that fire, and we'll have multiple spot fires that are happening constantly throughout the time you're on that fire. We can pull one off really quickly, go put that one out, get back on the fire. And that has enabled us to actually exceed our goal of keeping 90% of our fires below 10 acres to achieving 94% of our fires below 10 acres, even in some of the worst years like 2021.
So it wasn't just a matter of getting more fleets or more aircraft in your fleet. It was, where do we position those? How do we use that resource?
It was one initial attack. Don't sit your planes and put your crews on the ground and wait for your planes to show up later. The moment they're smoking there, leverage those, get on those fires quickly, contain them, move on to the next one. The second was having them pre-positioned in those areas where we're likely to have fires, and then moving them constantly as fire season changes throughout the state, so you don't spending a lot of time in flight, right? Third is to be able to have literally the state blanketed with more resources. We went from 8 Vietnam War helicopters to 37, and that is not just helicopters. We have everything you can imagine, some very large tankers to your sort of mosquito fleet, fire boss.
So it's tempting to see DNR as, and it is, the lead firefighting agency when it comes to wildland fires in the state. But you do more than that. There are almost 3.5 million acres of state trust land that you manage. On that land, what steps are underway to treat for wildfire, get ahead of the problem, create a healthy landscape that's resilient?
Yeah, so I'm a big believer that we could spend all of our time and all of our money running from one fire to the next fire to next fire, and really we have to always be in reaction mode so that we can protect lives, but we also have to be in a proactive mode. So in 2017, when I stepped in this role, we specifically went to develop, it was the first thing I called for, was we had to do a forest health plan for central and eastern Washington, where we were seeing more significant catastrophic fires, and we knew it was only going to get worse. And we were also seeing, we had around 2.75 million acres of dying forest, federal, state, private, and tribal land. About half of that is federal land. And I said, we have got to take steps now to be restoring the health of those forests so that those forests can actually fight fires on their own, which they naturally can do. And in doing that, it'll help us reduce these catastrophic fires. It will help us save lives. We are now, having set that plan and finishing it, and we launched it basically in 2018. We'll be 6 years in by the end of this year. We will be around halfway to our goal. Which is pretty amazing, with the goal that we will, what I mean by, it will be about 500,000 acres will have been treated. The goal is by 10 years, we will be halfway to our goal. Remember, our goal was at 20 years. So as I said, we have got to be working at the pace and scale of wildfire. We have to be moving faster, and we needed to double down. So that's where our trajectory we're on. Now, the great thing is when we do that work, right, one, we're reducing these catastrophic fires. We're also reducing the smoke in the air. We're helping protect sort of the fish and wildlife, but we also are able to get in those forests, remove the dead, dying, diseased trees, the smaller diameter, and we can send it to mills. We can be able to actually turn it into wood product, right, that creates rural economic opportunity and jobs in these communities. It also enables us to actually have a building product that we can move towards addressing our housing crisis, as you know, in every corner of the state, from Seattle to Spokane, Omak to Olympia, Republic to Raymond. We are struggling with housing. If I can, instead of having those forests go up in flames, smoke and flames, and actually turn it into building product that creates jobs while also then creating housing, that's a win environmentally, it's a win economically, and it's a win socially.
Back to DNR and its management of trust lands, about 3.5 million acres. How is that land being managed in a way that can sort of mitigate or even stave off effects of climate decline? Are there steps you're taking in terms of like carbon sink? How are you managing those lands in light of the changing climate?
Yeah, so let's be really clear so everybody knows, because we have 3 million acres of public lands, right, that, as I say, are not underwater, because we have 2.6 million that are underwater, and that doesn't mean financially, it's literally underwater, right? But those 3 million acres, 2 million acres is forest land, 1 million acres is agricultural land. So we're actually the largest wheat producer, we're one of the largest orchard producers, as well as vineyards, and then we have high value crop and low value crop and dry. And a lot of grazing. And then we have commercial industrial. So we have Costco, Safeways, Fred Meyer's, Bartels. We're now even doing residential because we have land that's zoned residential, and we obviously have a housing crisis. And we see that we have a role to be increasing the amount of housing so that we can actually meet the needs of our communities and our state. So specifically on our forest, we're a big believer that we have to go and make sure those forests are healthy and they're resilient to wildfire. They're resilient to disease, insect infestation, drought that we're facing, and that historically felt more on the central and eastern part of our state, and that's why we developed the Forest Health Plan for the central and eastern part first. And like I said, in those areas, we have rapidly accelerated our forest health work so that they are more resilient. And the fires that have hit those areas are actually proving that that work is succeeding. So even as we're seeing hotter, drier conditions, and we see climate, and we see increased drought, where we've gone in and done that forest health work, we are seeing that it actually is paying off and reducing the dying off of other trees around it, but also when wildfire hits. We now have to move over to the west side where a majority of actually our agency's forests are. So we're, up through the I-5 corridor out into the coastland. We are already seeing our forests on state land being very stressed. We're seeing that increased dying off, and that's why we're seeing more, 35% of our fires now west of the Cascades. That's on private and state and federal lands. Well, we're developing the Forest Health Plan for the west side now, having finished the one for central and eastern Washington. That will help us. Those forests are a lot more complicated. It's not as easy and simple as the central and eastern part, so there's going to be a lot of work bringing in that science in that area. I also want to just shout out that a really great news is we've been working to secure funding from the legislature on silviculture. That's going in and sort of doing the kind of thinning that needs to happen in those forests so that they can continue to grow strong and healthy, so that they're not all competing for limited, soil, limited sunlight, limited moisture that, is what's stressing our forests. I've been pushing for that for the last 3 to 4 years. This last year, legislative session, we were able to secure $10 million to do that silviculture treatment on our west side forest, which is going to go a long way. I also think it's important that we have, we talk about forest health. We created a revolving loan fund that enables us to do, those projects where we make money on them are able to now to create a sustainable funding. And that has been very, very helpful in the central and eastern part on our forest health plan, and it can also help on the west side. And one of the great news, because we aren't just taking care of the forest health on state lands, because we know if we did that, we would still have a significant problem because we've got federal, private, and tribal. We actually, when I first started in this role, we had one person to do forest health in the entire 1,900-person agency, and we now have the largest federal program in the nation, actually, that we're going in and we're doing forest health on federal lands. And we've created a revolving loan fund so that it will continue to be where we make money on it. It funds that work. And the great thing about it is it's not just forest health. We're also doing salmon habitat restoration. We're doing recreation, trail building, and other types of management tools on those lands so that they are healthy for the environment, they're healthy in the context of climate change, and they're also healthy for the public.
One of the obligations you have as commissioners to manage those public trust lands in a way that generates revenue for the state. Yep. Is there any kind of conflict or tension between that need and the need to manage for climate resiliency, or do you see the two going hand in hand?
I think they go hand in hand, to be honest, right? I mean, so first of all, I think it's important people realize that the 2 million acres of forest land, half of those have already been set aside in protection of 90 critical species. In addition to that, half of it, 1 million acres being set aside, we also have some of the most stringent forest practices, actually most stringent forest practices in the nation, where we have an old growth policy. We also have higher, stricter buffers around riparian areas for fish and salmon, as well as wildlife. And so I think it's important people are aware of that. In addition, we're able to go in, we bring sort of this very much a scrutiny about how do we manage those, not just for now and this generation, but we have an intergenerational responsibility where we have to be manage those lands for 10 decades from now, for our schools, for our teachers, for our fire districts, our libraries, and basic health, housing, human services for the government. And so what that means is we're always taking the context of a rapidly changing climate into, and that's why that silviculture is so critical, because as they're competing for more water and nutrient, right, resource, then they all get weak, versus if we can go in and do that silviculture and bring in that lighter touch to it, then our trees can get healthier, they can stay healthier, they don't burn down. They can sequester more carbon. I think it's also important for people to realize that if, Washington State, and this is one of the big pieces where I have been trying to move, is set a goal, what I call is keep Washington evergreen. Washington State is the evergreen state. And for the first time, in literally the history of Washington State, less than half of our state is forested. We are seeing an increasing conversion of our forest lands as we see more and more people can work from anywhere, right? As increasing population. And as we lose those forests, we're obviously losing their ability to sequester carbon. We're also losing the wood product that we believe should be grown right here in Washington State for our built environment. Because if we're bringing it from anywhere else, that's an enormous amount of greenhouse gas emissions that comes from the trucking, right? But it also, we're not as aware, or those other places don't likely have the same kind of forest practices that we have here in Washington State. So I've been pushing for we have to restore 1.25 million acres of forest in central and eastern Washington so it doesn't go up in smoke and flames, because wildfires become our second largest greenhouse gas emissions. Second, pushing for us to actually conserve 1 million acres of working forest lands in Washington State. And it's not just working, but we have really made a significant progress in the conservation, and we will always be continuing to push as we see more and more people moving our forests. But we've got to be able to increase the amount of working forest that we have if we're going to really meet our climate goals, and if we're going to also meet our housing goals. And then the third is we have millions of acres of land that has burned in wildfires. And I don't mean, again, when I say our land, I'm not talking about state land. I'm talking about federal, state, private, tribal land. Millions of acres have burned over the last 2 decades. And much of it has not been reforested. So that's land right there that we are right now not sequestering any carbon from forest, right? And every year that goes by that we're not reforesting it is a lost year for sequestering that carbon. It also creates significant rain on snow events where, if it's burned and it's been charred, it's not going to be able to hold that water, and then we have, challenges like landslides and other. So we secured funding this legislative session to actually move towards our goal of reforesting 1 million acres of forests. And so the Keep Washington Evergreen initiative is restore 1.25 million acres of forest, reforest 1 million acres, and conserve 1 million acres of forest. And to that conservation goal, we were able to also secure around $70 million out of the legislature this last legislative session towards going and purchasing forest land, so that at threat of conversion, that enables us to keep those forests working, also helps reduce sort of the creates better connectivity between federal and state lands where those inholdings are, where you might have private but at threat of conversion. So now that's a loss for the carbon sequestration, but it's also a loss for fish and wildlife mobility. And now with federal funding, Inflation Reduction Act has brought a significant amount of funding forward in the Forest Legacy Program, around $700 million. The great news, and our agency oversees that program in our state, the great news is we are like third in the nation in the entire history of the Forest Legacy Program out of the federal government. We're third in the nation for the most amount of money that we've secured for it. We're hoping to leverage the $70 million we just got this legislative session to now go and increase the amount of investments of that $700 million, so we can actually do more conservation here in our state.
Well, DNR is projecting above average temperatures in July and August, just to get back to the threat of wildfire that we're looking at. So from your perspective, Commissioner, as a final thought, are there things individual Washingtonians, individuals here in Central Washington can do to help keep that problem at bay?
Absolutely. 2 things, right? So the first thing is 80 to 85% of our fires are caused by humans. So every one of us could do our part to join the fire team. We're not going to put you on the line with Pulaski doing building containment, right, lines, but instead we're going to ask you to do your part and be one less spark out there. Really pay attention to burn bans. Be aware that we are headed into a very dry, hot summer, and it is easy for any spark to get out of control and become something quite significant and threatening. And then I'm also urging people to take steps right now. You can go in and start hardening your home, creating that defensible space, that 10 plus feet around your home. Our website, www.dnr.wa.gov, has all the steps you can take to start to create that defensible space around your home before fires are even there. And you can go to wildfireready.com is another key, www.wildfireready.com, to find out, especially in this community, you're part of the program. Sign up, get your neighbors sign up, make it a collective effort, right? Our firefighters really appreciate it. The other thing it does is it helps inform people on evacuation routes. So if your community is under threat, for fire, being able to know where to evacuate, how best to evacuate. When the fire, when we go out to do that home assessment, we bring that information too.
So if you're at home here in Wenatchee or in the Wenatchee Valley, you can be thinking about, what's my landscaping look like? Do I have dry leaves I should be raking up? Do I have some debris to remove? And which way is the best way out of my neighborhood?
Exactly. Clean out your gutters. Oftentimes we don't think about gutters. We think about the land, right, the fire spreading on the ground, but what happens is embers are flying, especially when there's wind. They can land in one of those, in your gutters. If there's leaves in there and a mess, it can quickly start a fire on your house. Another key, people need to be putting very thin mesh up in the attic crawl space as well as the basement, because oftentimes those embers will come in there. You don't even know that the ember's down there, and now you have a fire inside your house very, very quickly. So keep your lawn cut short. Try to keep it wet if you can, and make sure that you're doing everything to create that defensible space around your home.
Good advice for fire season.
Yes.
Commissioner for Public Lands, Hillary Franz, thanks a lot for being in our studio today.
Thanks for having me.
You're watching the NCW Life channel.
Transform your windows with a variety of colors and styles like the Allure Transitional Window Covering by Lafayette Interior Fashions. Hi, this is Darren with Mini Blinds and More. We can install the latest and greatest in technology to open and close your blinds with only a touch of a button. From the largest windows in your home to room darkening shades for the bedroom. From stylish shades for your entertainment room to custom blinds for those hard-to-fit places. We have a solution for all of your window covering needs. We offer a variety of window coverings from Lafayette Interior Fashions. Call us today. We are Mini Blinds and More, your local blind store.
Badger Mountain Brewery is your cure for boredom. Jam Night Mondays. Trivia Wednesdays. Live Music Fridays. And Sunday Brunch. There's always something brewing at Badger Mountain, so come join the party. At D.A. Davidson in Wenatchee, they believe your investment success begins with a personalized plan. A plan that is the roadmap you need to navigate your way to living your best years in retirement. D.A. Davidson can help you create a plan so you can take the time to enjoy the finer things in life. Let the financial advisors at D.A. Davidson help chart your retirement future today.
Hi everybody, Dan Kuntz alongside Jesse Coble from Alpine Air. My heat pump there's like steam coming out of it. It's making weird noises. Is this something I need to be concerned about?
No, Dan, that's normal operation. Refrigeration technology steals heat from the outside, transfers it to the inside, and it creates frost on your heat pump. The defrost cycle melts that off, which creates steam and a little bit of noise.
That makes sense. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. For heat and air, call Alpine Air. Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
The family at the Eplidolin want to help your loved one feel at ease in their new home environment. Eplidolin offers beautiful one-bedroom and studio apartments. Residents enjoy 3 delicious home-style meals a day, laundry service, housekeeping service, and encouragement to make themselves cozy in their new home. Eplidolin welcomes your family to come and visit their family. Eplidolin, independent and assisted living. They make the complicated easy for you. Call today for a tour.
Hey man, how's your arm?
Getting better, actually, thanks.
Did they give you anything for pain after surgery? Because I think I may have some left over.
Nah, that's all right, man. Actually, me and my doctor talked about not sharing prescriptions, and that ibuprofen is a good option for me. The risk of addiction is not worth it.
Makes sense.
Take the next step. Don't share your prescriptions, and talk to your friends about the dangers of opioids.
minutes to go on this Friday edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Temperatures all over the board. Here in the big city, we're at 59. It was 55 when this show started at 7 o'clock this morning. We're 59. Manson's 53. Chelan is 54. Ephrata is already at 70 degrees already in Ephrata. They could be in for a hot one. Before we do the weather forecast, going to try something new next week. We're going to see if we can put together some quality local morning television programming. It'll be a new thing for me. We're going to try it. Got some great guests next week. Malachi Salcida will be joining me. His company is the main sponsor of the Let's Have a Blast 4th of July fireworks. Speaking of fireworks, Kaylee Boggs, the pyrotechnic genius who actually does the fireworks, she'll be joining me to talk about what's going to be going on at Walla Walla Point Park on Independence Day. We'll be talking with Joel Norman and Apple Sox Baseball as they're playing great baseball. Also, we visited with the folks who run the Mission Ridge ski team because their kids' triathlon is coming up in a couple of weeks as well. We got some great guests next week on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, and me too. From the National Weather Service, here we go. We could see a weak disturbance come through here and there over the next 24 hours or so. So, you know, a little breezy, maybe a couple of passing clouds. We'll top off at 84. That's above normal. Our normal high now is 80 degrees. 59 for the overnight low. It's going to be a little breezy today, and just a little breezy, but not much on Saturday. It's a gorgeous weekend. Sunny, warm, mid-80s. We'll take that. Saturday and Sunday, and then we start warming up come Monday and Tuesday with bountiful sunshine. Have a fantabulous weekend. We'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.
Welcome to Networked TV, the show that dives into the transformative power of education and community engagement. I'm your host, Jenny Rojanasatian, the Executive Director of the NCW Tech Alliance. Today, I have the privilege of introducing you to an organization that is making a profound difference across North Central Washington, CAFE, the Center for Advancement of Family and Education. CAFE is a nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing family